Welcome to African Visions Network. I am Princess Ayo, your host for this evening. And our show today is about Kwanzaa, a very important celebration. And here to discuss this with us is Miss Gloria Fleming, Miss Noni Dabney, and Mr. Torrance Marunda. They are members of the Virginia Kwanzaa Committee. Thank you for being with us this evening.
Thank you for having us.
We also have our musician, Mr. Olashola Showande. These guests tonight will share with us the history, origins, and practice of Kwanzaa. Gloria, welcome to African Visions Network. Could you please give us a brief background of Kwanzaa? What is Kwanzaa and how did it originate?
Kwanzaa is an African American cultural holiday. It is celebrated for 7 days, beginning December 26th through January 1st. It is a non-religious, a non-heroic holiday. Some people think it's a replacement for Christmas. It is not. It is its own holiday. And this holiday was developed and initiated by Dr. Maranga, who is a African cultural and black history professor in California. He started this holiday in 1966. And what he did first was he did a lot of research. He researched a lot of the history on the African countries, on their celebrations and their festivals. And in doing this research, he found out in the African countries, agricultural celebrations have been going on for centuries and centuries. And in some parts of Africa, the celebrations take place from 7 to 9 days. In East Africa, it takes place at the end of the year. Okay. And so based on this, he decided that he would develop a holiday for African Americans. He felt that they needed one in order to put emphasis on their culture, on their community, and on the family. He was especially interested in, uplifting the African Americans and bringing about unity in the community and with the families. And the word Kwanzaa, Matunyi ya Kwanzaa, comes from the Swahili, and that's take place mostly in East Africa, and it's used a lot around, in several African countries. And Matanda ya Kwanzaa mean first fruits. And these first fruits were, after the harvest, they would take these first fruits and they would have a celebration. And the celebrations for African Americans last 7 days, and it's built on the Ngusa Saba, which are 7 principles. And for each day of Kwanzaa, one of these principles is practiced. There are 7 principles, and there are 7 candles, and the colors are based on Marcus Garvey African Liberation flag. And Dr. Maranga felt that this holiday would strengthen the African American community. We would uplift our culture, our community, and our family. And Kwanzaa is a time where we get together and we celebrate, giving thanks to the Creator for all that He's done through the year for us. And it's a time to celebrate with our families. It's a time that we will meet in the community and celebrate so that we can uplift each other and that we can put emphasis on our country, on our culture. And it's also a time when we can commemorate our ancestors from Africa, our ancestors from the United States who had to endure slavery, racism, and oppression. And so during this time of the year, we also take special time to teach our children, because our children are the ones that's very important. I feel that a child who understands his culture and understand himself, he feels good about himself, and this in turn will create a better world because we won't have children having negative images of themselves. If they uplift themselves, then they are going to uplift other children and other people. It spreads, joy and happiness spreads. So I think that's one of the main emphasis of Kwanzaa. And Kwanzaa is a holiday that back in 1966, there were probably very few people who celebrated. In fact, I used to say, well, what is Kwanzaa? But now Kwanzaa is an international holiday. It's celebrated in countries like Jamaica, the United States, Canada, Kenya, Zimbabwe, and those are just a few of the countries. Okay.
Fantastic. Sounds like it's very, very important to us, and looks like it could be celebrated by a lot of different kinds of people. Right. Now that Gloria has told us about the history and purpose of Kwanzaa, Noni is going to take us through some of the symbols that are used during this important holiday. Noni?
Okay. The symbols of Kwanzaa, there are 7. 7 runs throughout this. There are 7 principles, there are 7 candles, and there are 7 symbols that represent Kwanzaa. The symbols that represent Kwanzaa, we start with the makia. The makia is the mat that, and the foundation. The foundation symbolizes, is an African tradition that symbolizes our tradition as a people. We have a foundation. We next would go with the kinara, which holds the candles. The kinara, it represents our ancestors who are our backbone. Okay, next we would have our candles, which are called the mashuma saba. The candles, they would be 3 red, 3 green, and 1 black. The red represents our blood. The black represents our people. The green represents our land. The symbols of the candles, the 7 candles, also would also be seen. The red would always be to your right. Okay. The green always to your left, and the black always in the center. Next you would have your vibuzi, which is the corn. The corn represents growth. And even if you have no children, it's always nice to put at least 1 ear of corn, because we always want to have future, so we always look forward for children if we don't have any. Next we would have the kikuma cha umoja, which is the unity cup. The unity cup is used for pouring the libation. We always acknowledge our ancestors. Our ancestors let us know that it's safe for us to proceed in anything that we choose to do as a people, and they're always present. Then after we do libation, sharing with our ancestors, we share with everyone in the group. So the unity cup is passed, and everyone drinks from the unity cup. Then you deal with the fruit, which is called the mazahu, which is the harvest for the year of all the accomplishments that we've made and our hard work for the year, which is shown throughout. The labor is shown through the fruits. The zawadi, which is the gifts. Gifts being, we would ask that gifts be things that are made, created with our hands. So that could be books, poems, things made from clay, clothing, etc. And the zawadi are passed out on the last day of Kwanzaa. Also, it's nice to have the bandera, which is the flag, which is also red, black, and green. And as Gloria has also stated, which was created by Marcus Garvey, one of our ancestors. And you can be very creative with Kwanzaa. So
celebrate in various ways.
Yes, and also it's always nice to have the 7 principles represented on the table. And so
Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
right
the
there.
7 principles.
Interesting.
Nguzo Zaba. Okay.
And our viewers watching can see that there are lots of things here that may be familiar to them.
Yes.
How do we tell the difference between this candle holder and the Jewish candle holder?
The Kinara holds 7 candles.
Okay.
And if I'm not incorrect, I think the Jewish candle holds 9. It's 9?
Okay.
Okay.
That's interesting. So if they're from that background, this wouldn't be so far from them. I'm thinking about this cup being similar to the Christian religion where they actually have communion.
Yes.
Wouldn't you say?
Yes.
So, and then also the zawadi, did I say that right?
Yes, gifts.
Being the gifts, remind us of children getting gifts at Christmas time. Is that not so? What's the difference? What makes this different from having Christmas presents?
In Kwanzaa, we're celebrating what we've gone through in the years, through the year. We're talking about values, which really, Kwanzaa, I know, is celebrated the 26th through the 1st of January. However, the values can be celebrated every day. The values of Kwanzaa, the Nguzo Zaba, because we always want to strive for unity. We always want to have faith in our ancestors and our teachers and our parents. So there are values that we want every day. So
that makes it different.
It makes it very
from the other
different.
celebrations. Sounds really intriguing. And now that we've learned all the symbols that are going to be used during Kwanzaa, we would like for Torrance to tell us about the 7 principles of Kwanzaa.
Yes. Now that we've gathered all the symbols, we are ready to observe the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. The 7 principles of Kwanzaa are also known as the Nguzo Zaba. Nguzo Zaba is a Swahili word where Nguzo means principles and Zaba means 7, hence Nguzo Zaba. The Nguzo Zaba define why and how we celebrate the holidays. For each day of Kwanzaa, we celebrate one principle. There are 7 principles one for each day of Kwanzaa. And on each day of Kwanzaa, we light one of the candles in the Kinara, and then we observe one of the Nguzo Zaba. The 7 principles of Kwanzaa are as follows, beginning with the first. Umoja, which means unity. Unity is the first principle, and the statement associated with unity is the statement of unity is the building, to strive and maintain.
Unity in the community.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like it's about unity. What would be the candle that we would use for that day? That's the first day?
Well, the first candle that you light on the first day of Kwanzaa is the black candle.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
We start from the middle.
Yes. So the statement for unity is to strive for and maintain unity in the family, the community, the nation, and the race.
Okay.
The second principle of Kwanzaa is kujijakalia,
Yes.
which means self-determination. And that principle states to define ourselves, to name ourselves, to create for ourselves and speak for ourselves instead of being defined and named and created for and spoken for by others.
Yes.
The third principle of Kwanzaa is ujima, which means collective work and responsibility. Collective work and responsibility means to build and develop our communities together and to make our sisters and brothers' problems our problems and to solve them together.
And then we're on the third one, so we've
Okay,
gone through what candle?
so basically, Umoja would be lighting the first candle, which is the black candle.
Right.
Then for the second day of Kwanzaa, which is Kujijakalia, you would light a green candle.
The green, okay.
And then you would alternate with the red candle and the green candle until you finish lighting the candle for each day of Kwanzaa. The third principle of Kwanzaa
So the fourth one.
The fourth principle of Kwanzaa would be ujamaa, which is a Swahili word which means cooperative economics. Cooperative economics means to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. The fifth principle of Kwanzaa is nia, which means purpose. And that means to make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. The sixth principle of Kwanzaa, kuumba, means creativity. And creativity means to do always as much as we can in any way that we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. And the final principle of Kwanzaa is imani, which means faith. And that the statement associated with imani is to believe with all our hearts in our people, our parents, our teachers, and our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle.
Yes.
And those are the 7 principles of Kwanzaa as portrayed by Malana Karinga.
It's exciting and interesting. Noni, could you tell us some of the various ways that we can celebrate Kwanzaa?
I'd love to. Each family has its own way of celebrating Kwanzaa, but the basic idea of Kwanzaa is to follow the 7 principles. So each day, each day you would celebrate Kwanzaa by doing a different principle. You started off, you begin each day fasting until sunrise. This is to clean the body, discipline the mind, and uplift the spirit. You pour libation to honor your ancestors, and then you would light a candle, and you emphasize one of the principles, the principle of the day for each day. And at the closing, you would wear like traditional African clothing and play African music. You don't have to, but it would be nice to.
It sounds like there are lots of different ways that we can
Yeah.
we can just bend it to the way our family wants to do it, or our
Yes, you
community,
can. You can use
or our
Kuumba.
church.
Be creative.
That sounds great. And we would like you to stay tuned, and we are going to come back with our own Kwanzaa celebration. Welcome back. We are here enjoying our own family Kwanzaa celebration, and we've been joined by the children, and they are going to tell us the principles of Kwanzaa, and they're going to give us the principle for each day. So children, you ready?
Yes.
We have Lorente, the first principle. Lorente, say your part. It's all right, baby. Just look in the camera and say your part.
Devotion means unity.
David,
Kuchijakalia means self-determination.
Nana,
Zima means working together.
William,
Ujima means cooperative economics.
Stephanie,
Nia means purpose.
Winton,
Kuba means creativity.
Torrance.
Money means faith.
Oh, very good. And so we've heard our principles, and I'm going to do something else they do during Kwanzaa and tell a very short story before we end our program. And my story today is from Zaire. And this is a story of a chief. And this chief was very commanding. He said this would happen and everyone would do it. Everyone obeyed him. Well, one day, he called all his counselors together. And he said, you know what? I am tired of these frogs. Frogs croak day and night, and at nighttime I can't get any sleep. I want all these frogs to be killed. Well, his counselors always agreed with the chief. And if he said anything wise, they would say, yes, it is good. And if he said something foolish, they would say, yes, it is good. Well, of course, when he said, "Get rid of the frogs," they all said, "Yes, it is good." So they all went out and killed the frogs. Every single one of the frogs. They killed them until there were no frogs left. Well, the chief was happy. He went to bed and went to sleep and didn't hear one frog croaking. Days went by, and every night he slept soundly. But after a while, the mosquitoes came, one by one, and they became a swarm. Mosquitoes were everywhere, inside the houses, inside the kitchens. They entered the palace, and everybody was slapping themselves because mosquitoes were biting them all over. Well, the king called all his counselors. "What are we gonna do? We have to get rid of these mosquitoes." So they all sat around and had nothing to say. They didn't know what to do. All the counselors bowed their heads. Well, there was one man who never said anything whenever the king was commanding people. And the king looked at him and said, "Can't you say anything? See the problem we have. Mosquitoes everywhere." And that man stood up and said, "Your Majesty, all things are linked. You got rid of the frogs, but they would eat the mosquitoes. And now there's nothing we can do about the mosquitoes." And so one by one, the people in the village left town until there was nobody that lived in that village anymore. Even the chief left. And so they have a saying in that town, "Yes, it is good." Destroyed a whole village. And that's the end of the story. And so, children, you should be very wise, because something you do over here could affect somebody else somewhere else. We're all connected. And that's our Kwanzaa story. And so we're so glad that you could join us today during our own family Kwanzaa celebration. And we have our mothers with us and our children. And we're all going to greet you with the word that we say during Kwanzaa. And I hear the word means let's all pull together. And our word is Harambe. Harambe.
Harambe!
We're so glad that we have our musician with us. He is playing what is called the xylophone. And the children can recognize this because in the Western world, it's called a xylophone. But this is the way it looked when it first began to be played on the earth. It was made of wood, and it has little gourds underneath it that make that wonderful sound we hear. And so we're so glad that Olushola could be with us today to play our Kwanzaa sound. It's just beautiful. We're going to enjoy it. African Visions Network is brought to you by an organization called United Voices of Africa. And they have their meetings every week, and they want you to know that they often have this at the Alexandria Library, and that you should please call in and find out when they're going to be meeting, and you'll be welcome there. So we hope that we'll see you there, and we hope that we'll see you again when we meet here on African Visions Network for our next show. Thank you.
Harry.
Kwanzaa, visit the Arlington Library or any library that's in your county. They have 2 good videos that will give you some detailed explanation. One features Dr. Malana Karanga, who's the founder of Kwanzaa. And if you want to know how to celebrate it in your home, this is a nice book to have. It tells you how to celebrate each day. It tells you how to decorate your home. Also, the Virginia Kwanzaa Committee will be featuring 7 days of Kwanzaa beginning December 26th at the Carver Recreation Center. And Noni is the director. And you can call African Voice of United Africa at 836-3661 if you'd like further information about Kwanzaa. Also, we have some little zawadis for each of the children here. So, yes, this one is to Winton. David. And Nana. Okay. Lorente. William. Stephanie. Torrance. Yeah. And Gabby. Yes, you may open your zawadis.